You did it. You cracked the code. Your baby goes down swaddled, sleeps a solid stretch, and you finally feel like you know what you're doing. And then one morning, you walk into that room and your baby is face down in the crib, still swaddled, arms pinned, unable to push themselves up. That moment changes everything. If your baby is starting to roll or show any signs of rolling, and I'll tell you exactly what to look for in a second, the swaddle has to go. Full stop. No, start thinking about it. Not maybe next week. Now. I know that sounds terrifying if the swaddle is one thing keeping everyone in the house asleep, but I've been there. So today I'm going to walk you through exactly how to make this transition as smoothly as possible, even if your baby is only 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks. Let's go. Let's talk about why this matters. Because understanding the risk is what's going to motivate you through the hard nights ahead. When a baby rolls while swaddled, their arms are trapped. They can't push up with their hands to lift their head if they go face down. And that's a suffocation risk. It's one of the primary reasons the American Academy of Pediatrics says to stop swaddling the moment your baby shows signs of rolling. Now, and this is important, the signs of rolling doesn't mean they've actually done it yet. It means any attempt, any straining to get over, any consistent lifting of one hip, anytime you watch them and think, they're working on something. The recommendation exists precisely because you often can't predict the first time. The first roll can happen in the crib, in the dark, at 3 a.m. while you're sleeping. So if you're watching this, because you decided that your baby, who's 10 weeks old, would try to flip during tummy time, this is a video for you. You're not overreacting, you're being a great parent by taking it seriously. So what are you looking for? Here's the checklist. There's 5 things. Consistent lifting of one or both hips during tummy time, pushing hard to the side during diaper changes like they're trying to escape, rolling part way to their side while they're laying on their back, strong, consistent head control, can hold their head up for several seconds during tummy time, and any full roll, front to back to front, even if it only happens once. If you're checking 2 or more of those boxes, it's time. Even if they haven't fully rolled yet, even if they're only 8 weeks old, even if the swaddle is the only thing that works. Okay, here's the actual plan. There are 2 approaches, and which one you use depends on your baby and your bandwidth for disrupted sleep. So one option is the cold turkey method. This is exactly what it sounds like. Tonight, no swaddle. Baby goes down as a sleep sack with arms free, and you ride out whatever happens. For some babies, especially younger ones who haven't completely been dependent on the swaddle, this actually works surprisingly well. Some babies never even want the swaddle. Their startle reflex hasn't fully kicked in yet, and they adjust within a few nights. For others, it's rough. Expect 3 to 5 nights of more frequent wake-ups while they adjust. That's normal. It's not permanent. This is best for babies under 10 weeks who haven't become fully dependent on that swaddle, or any baby where rolling is happening now and you just can't wait. The next option would be the most popular option, which is the transition method. You leave one arm out for the swaddle for a few nights, then you get both arms out after that. It gives the baby time to adjust to the sensation of a free arm without losing that containment feeling. The one arm free also gives them something to self-soothe with, and many babies start finding their hand or fingers during this phase, which is a beautiful thing. One tip, if you're going to do the transitional method, is to start with the arm they seem to favor most, or the one that always tries to escape first. If they're already busting one arm out of the swaddle regularly, that's the baby telling you that they're ready, so you work with it. This is best for 10 weeks and up who are already showing signs of early rolling but haven't fully rolled yet. There's always the transitional products. There's a whole wide range of products designed for this specific purpose. Some sleep sacks, which are great when you're ready to transition fully, where they've got a sleep sack, but their arms are fully free without any restriction. And that's a great one to go right to if you're doing the cold turkey method. None of these products are safe once your baby can roll well, as long as if their arms are still contained in some way. So always check the manufacturer label, check the weight and the developmental guidelines. So how do you manage the sleep disruption? Here's the part that nobody talks about at first. The first week is the transition, and that's the hardest week. I want to be honest with you that because I think it's easier to get through the hard nights knowing what's coming, the typical disruption pattern looks like this. The first 1 to 2 nights, you're going to have more frequent wake-ups. The baby might startle and not know how to resettle themselves without containment. This is peak hard. The next couple nights, nights 3 to 4, usually a little bit better. Baby starts learning to find their hands, they adjust their position, they learn how to settle with new techniques. And towards that end of that week, most babies have adjusted pretty well. Some are back to their baseline where they were when they were actually swaddled, and some it'll take a few nights longer based on your baby's temperament, and it's all still within that normal range. Some things that help during that transition, adding more daytime contact naps or contact sleep temporarily just to offset the lost nighttime sleep, because overtired babies tend to become more and more overtired because they fight that sleep. Lean harder on your other sleep associations, the white noise, the dark room, having your bedtime routine more and more consistent. Give extra settling time before going in at night. Babies often just fuss and resettle, but they'll get back to their settled position more easily if they have time to do it on their own. Use a pacifier if you need to, if your baby takes one. It can become a powerful self-soothing tool once the hands are free. So if you're thinking that your baby is only 8 weeks old and too early to start, some babies roll surprisingly early, and the timeline really doesn't matter. I always tell the babies in my 2-month well checks to start that transition now at around 2 months so that we're ready by the time the 4-month plan comes, because most babies are rolling by 4 months. It'll be harder at a younger age, but it's also manageable, and the alternative just isn't safe. So what about you finally hit a good patch of sleep? And this is going to ruin everything. I hear you, and I won't lie, it might temporarily disrupt your sleep plan, but here's the reframe. Sleep at this age is almost always developmental. You're always going to have a phase, whether it's that 4-month sleep regression, whether it's cluster feeding, whether it's transitioning out of a swaddle, whether it's trying to crawl. You're always going to have those developmental changes that disrupt that sleep for a short period. This is completely fine. Your baby is totally capable of getting back to sleep. It'll come. What if your baby rolls in the middle of the night and you don't hear it? This is a really common fear. Few things first, make sure your baby's always placed on their back when you leave the room. Second, use a baby monitor. And third, once your baby can roll consistently, both ways, front to back, the risk actually decreases significantly because they can reposition themselves. Most babies, that first time they roll from their back to their front in the middle of the night, are going to get mad because they're going to think you did it, and they're not used to sleeping on their front. And so they're going to be asking for help because they aren't usually consistent about rolling back to their back to get comfortable. So usually that fear doesn't come true. But again, that's why we're working on that transition earlier than later. What about swaddling for naps? Yeah, if you're going to get rid of the swaddle for nighttime sleep, we got to eliminate that risk at nap time too. So the same risks apply. I know it's tempting to do swaddle free at night and then swaddle for naps, but that inconsistency also makes the transition take a little bit longer. So rip off the bandage across the board. Okay, you know how I mentioned that they're going to yell at you if they find themselves tummy down in the middle of the night because they're going to think you did it and they don't know how to get themselves back to the back on their own. This is the frustrating middle phase. During the day, gently flip them back and use tummy time to build the strength for the reverse roll. At night, if they've then rolled themselves onto their stomach, you don't need to keep running in to flip them. If they can lift their head, once they can get themselves there, it becomes a safe sleep position. If their head control is still weak, that's when you want to go in and reposition them. But once they can get over onto their tummy and their head control is pretty good and they can push up, they can sleep on their tummies if they're okay. Okay, I want to end with something nobody says out loud. Losing the swaddle can feel a little like grief. I mean it. It's one of the first times you watch your baby outgrow something that was working. And you have to let it go because they're growing up. That's a lot, and it's okay to feel that. Here's what's also true. Your baby is getting stronger. They're learning to move their body and they're exploring their world, and you're doing the right thing by keeping up with them, even if that means harder nights. The swaddle was a tool, a great one, but your baby doesn't need any more, and they need space to grow. And you've got everything it takes to help them make this transition. If you found this helpful, leave me a comment below. Tell me how old your baby is and what transition method you're trying. I read each one of them. If you found this video helpful, give a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.